Now, let's bring in prominent No campaigner, one-time Labor president and now director of the Indigenous Forum at the Centre for Independent Studies, Warren Mundine. Warren, thank you very much for your time. Look, the campaign has officially kicked off today with the release of the Yes and No pamphlets by the Electoral Commission. How much information do you think is now contained in the Yes pamphlet? Because this has been one of the criticisms of your campaign, that Australians don't have enough detail to make up their minds.
It's like you're looking for detail and a magical unicorn turned up with a magic wand and sort of waves it and says, this is going to fix everything. And in actual fact, they haven't released anything really. It's just all this nice vibe and it's good and all this type of crap.
Look, we're seeing that, there have been claims from Anthony Albanese that 80 or 90% of Indigenous people support the voice to Parliament. I mean, I just think it's interesting looking at your own family, Warren Mundine. You're, of course, voting no. Your second cousin, the champion boxer Anthony Mundine, is also, I understand, voting no. But your niece, Karen, is the CEO of Reconciliation Australia. She's campaigning passionately for the Yes campaign. So, is this typical, do you think, of many Indigenous families where everyone has a unique perspective?
Look, I think it is typical, but the case is that, we had a Get Up working with Jackie Huggins, and they did a polling, and what their polling said, 45% of Aboriginals either had never heard of the voice, or they have heard of the voice and they don't know what it is, and 25% said that they're going to vote no. So that's 70% of people. So you got to question some of this polling stuff that's going on. Because when I go out in around regional and remote Australia and also in the cities, I get the same result. Most Aboriginals haven't heard of the voice, or they don't know what the voice is when they have heard of it, and then they've got no people. So I don't know where they got their 80% from. It must have been that magic, unicorn with that wand again.
I think people forget, Warren, that you were actually a federal president of the Labor Party, and you famously had your career grounded in the Labor Party. You're an Indigenous person. Did you have to think long and hard about whether you were going to support the voice? What was that process like for you?
Well, it was very simple. For me, when it was raised and they got me to write an articles in that forum and I looked at, I always based my thing on traditional owners, because it is our culture. Our culture says, like, I'm a Bundjalung man. I can't talk about Yolngu or anyone else, and no one can talk about Bundjalung as well. So I was always pushing the line about Bundjalung, because the traditional owners actually have a voice through native title and from land rights, where like I chair a mining company, an exploration company, and we can't do anything on our tenures without consulting, discussing, and coming to an agreement with Aboriginal people. So that is a voice. This idea that there's no voice is just rubbish. We've had voices for decades. And then the other thing is that nothing's changed. Well, I can tell you one thing is university numbers has gone through the roof, and we've got doctors and lawyers and everything. When I was a kid, they didn't exist. We've got, now $8.7 billion Indigenous business sector. So there's a lot of stuff. The issues that are dealing with Indigenous communities is social, and we need to fix those. We don't need to be treating Aboriginal people as some sort of homogeneous group of people when people, a lot of Aboriginals are doing quite well in their lives. They don't need support, and there's a group of people who are struggling. That's where they need to focus. Yes,
exactly, on the Indigenous disadvantage, which, of course, the Yes campaign says that this would help with. Warren Mundine, thank you very much for coming on the program tonight.